Thank you, Senator Moore. I'm proud to be joining you in advocating for these Senate bills 1116 and 1117, and you have done such an excellent job of one, studying the issue and bringing in the nuts and bolts of this, that I'll just speak for a moment to add a little bit of color to this. This bill package and this whole process will help lead the state to create a longer-term economic development plan. I say help lead the state to develop this plan very deliberately, because we need to be clear that these bills are not a 10-year economic development plan in any way. They are not prescriptive of any outcome in any way, and I have no doubt that my colleague and I have some pretty different ideas on what should be included ultimately in that plan. But we are 100% in lockstep agreement on the need to bring more order to the process and ensure continuity over a longer term than just one administrative or legislative session. My involvement was sparked by a couple of observations that came both from my time here in the legislature and, more importantly, through operating a small business in Michigan for more than 2 decades. As a legislator, I think we all grow weary at the sheer number of projects brought before us for funding. Many of them are great efforts, no doubt about that. They could help drive jobs and rebuild our economy. But after about the 100th request, I began to wonder, is anybody driving this ship? I know in the short term the answer is yes, but there seems to be no rhyme or reason behind the projects I'm asked to support. Whoever is governor at the time, Republican or Democrat, is always out there pitching our state and trying to bring back good projects that will benefit our people. That's great. We have great organizations like MEDC who are working hard every single day to find whatever opportunities they can for our state. And these bills are in no way intended to denigrate or diminish those efforts. Quite the opposite. These bills, and more importantly, the product that these bills are intended to create, are meant to enhance those efforts and give those organizations on the front lines of economic development the assurance that the rug isn't going to be pulled out from them, from underneath them at any moment by politics that seem to change on a daily basis. And again, as legislators, from that perspective, while there may be long-term strategic thinking going on within our agencies and our organizations, we actually have a personal responsibility to our taxpayers and our constituents to safeguard their resources and make sure they're being used wisely. Right now, when I support a project, about the best I can say is that to my constituents is that this is a great opportunity to bring some jobs to Michigan, or a way to keep some jobs from going to Wisconsin. This is a really good high-tech opportunity that could be good for us in the long term. That's fine, but it's not enough. It's a far cry from being able to say something like, we as a state are on a long-term mission to rebuild Michigan into the nation's premier advanced manufacturing center, as an example, where everybody looks to us like they have throughout our history, and where we can build an economy where our kids can actually stay closer to home. And from a national standpoint, we can help rebuild the American economy's most critical foundation and help with national security. That's a big vision. That's a lot bigger than just saying we can get 800 jobs. And we need to get to that. Now, I will say this as well, that after voting for one major economic development project last year, this absolutely was eye-opening and frightening to me. One of the most esteemed companies in Michigan, truly our hometown team, shared with me that they had actually considered never building anything in the state of Michigan again. The reason? They know that what they're going to get from our state. In their words, one moment we love them, the next moment we hate them. One moment we create a business opportunity in which they can thrive, the next moment we're attacking them. They can't make strategic investments in our state under a circumstance like that. Even worse, they went on to explain how other states roll out the red carpet for them. They make decisions and stick with them. The company never has to guess whether some of these other states will work to create a favorable business environment for them, because those states have expressed the political will and long-term dedication to building industry in a way that isn't going to change in the next election. I saw personally now how damaging it can be to have no long-term consistency when I ran my own film production company for 20 years here in Michigan. Mind you, I want to preface this. This is not an argument in favor or opposed to any discussions related to film incentives. And if that comes up again, I'm recusing myself because of a potential conflict of interest. My observations are only what I saw firsthand in the first round of film incentives that we did in the 2007-2008 timeframe and ended in 2015. My business was always headquartered in Michigan. And we knew the incredible natural advantages Michigan offers in producing great film and television programs. But when our original film incentives came out, it was clear from the sheer amount of political division surrounding them that these things were not going to last. And I can tell you that there was an ongoing narrative throughout our entire industry that Michigan wasn't serious. So it bred a mindset of get in, get your money, and get out. By contrast, Georgia made a long-term decision and a long-term strategic commitment to film incentives. Like them or not, they made that decision. They started their film incentives around the same time and then adapted them to match what Michigan was offering. They stuck with it. And all this time later, Georgia today is one of the premier places on earth to produce a film or a television special. It's a huge, thriving industry in Georgia, and we have nothing to show for it, and we paid a ton of money. And the bottom line is that's what happens when you don't have a strategy. So I'm frankly tired of funding one-off projects with seemingly no strategy or over-the-horizon thinking behind them. I assume that type of thinking is happening within individual organizations like MEDC and others, but I'm equally sure it is not happening in the legislature, who has the power of the purse to control the resources needed to pursue these opportunities. And I know that there's very little consistency between administrations, and any promises made today could easily be broken in just 2 years from now. We need to bring some order to this process, and I believe these bills are an effort to do just that.